Nigeria's Inspector General of Police Kayode Egbetokun on Wednesday convened a crucial meeting with key stakeholders in Kogi State. In a statement, the force headquarters disclosed that the meeting was part of the IGP's continued commitment to ensure a peaceful and secure electoral process during the November 11 off-cycle gubernatorial elections in Bayelsa, Imo, and Kogi States. The meeting, which was held in the state capital, brought together various stakeholders, including political leaders, representatives of political parties, civil society organizations, electoral officials, traditional and religious leaders, youth leaders, as well as security agencies. The IGP also encouraged political leaders to play a significant role in maintaining the peace by promoting a culture of non-violence among their supporters and ensuring that the electoral process is conducted without any form of intimidation or coercion. Amaza, Senior Communications Officer, YIAGA Africa, joins me now to discuss this further. Good morning, Mark, and thank you so much for joining me in the news.
Good morning. It's actually Amaza.
Amaza. Yeah, my bad, Amaza.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining us. All right, so how do you think the responsibility for conducting fair and transparent electoral processes should be shared between the government, INEC, and also the general public?
So first, INEC is by law the election management body. So for all elections, other than local government elections in the FCT, outside the FCT, it's their responsibility to conduct, organize those elections and conduct them. So they take the lead responsibility in ensuring that elections are done properly. But then there are also other government bodies that play a role. For example, the police, which is the lead security agency around elections, who are mandated to ensure that those elections are peaceful prior to, during, and after the elections. But beyond that, all the other stakeholders also have a role to play, especially political parties and candidates, in how they behave approaching the elections, in terms of rhetoric, in terms of how they observe the law. All of this play a key role. Before finally we citizens be ensuring that we turn out, we vote, we play our roles in providing forming accountability mechanism over all of these other actors and the entire process.
All right, so in your opinion, Mark, what are some practical steps that can be taken to ensure that electoral processes in Nigeria are conducted with integrity and transparency?
So first, I would say is continuous reforms, especially when elections are done and gaps are spotted. Reforms often do work, especially if stakeholders follow the law and processes that have been introduced to improve the process. So that's the first one. And it's also to ensure that the stakeholders, particularly I mentioned earlier on, from political parties to INEC, security agencies, also play their roles adequately, ensure that they do their jobs properly, whether it's in terms of political parties following the law in how they conduct select candidates, to INEC ensuring that the logistics are done, are handled properly, that its officials follow the law in terms of how they conduct the process, to security agencies ensuring that they provide adequate security. All of this being done have a role come together in ensuring that our elections are credible, are fair, and encourage more participation.
All right, so now still talking about, how stakeholders can actually follow the law. What are some examples from other countries where electoral commissions have successfully reached a point where they're not anxious about every election season, and what lessons do you think that Nigeria can learn from them?
Okay, we can pick an example close to home in Liberia. We just conducted its general election last month, and it's doing its runoff in a few days' time. In Liberia, this was the first election that the Liberian people themselves are conducting, because prior to this has been conducted by the United Nations. But the political culture is such that after the conduct of the elections, voters don't even have to wait behind at polling units to ensure that they count the votes themselves, to be sure that their votes are not being tampered with. They vote and they leave. And you have the results being all uploaded online, 100% results being put up. Everyone can see the process, and we're seeing how they also did. It fell short of the law in terms of declaring the requirement for declaring a clear winner, they are now organizing a runoff, and it will likely play out the same way. We might make the argument that Liberia is a much smaller country than Nigeria in terms of voter population, which is true, but it's also that commitment on the part of the electoral management body and the political actors to ensure that the right things are done. And that's, for us, for me, is part of the worry, is how politicians approach elections. They often approach elections like a do-or-die affair, as though it were a war, and you see a lot of the rhetoric, sometimes the incitement to violence of the supporters, the quickness to cry foul and inflame, overheat the polity. All of this behavior does not bode well for us. So there's that need for that behavior to change, and also, of course, for election management body, that's INEC, to ensure they do the right things, ensure that there gets to a point where voters are confident that their votes, if they vote, they can go home and sleep, knowing that those votes are going to count either way.
Well, we hope to see these changes in the off-cycle elections. Well, thank you so much, Mark Amaza, for joining me on the news this morning.
Thank you for having me.